Hello and welcome to another macro video. We're thinking about selection today and some tools that will help to speed us up, but also they can help us to reduce RSI, because I've long since realized that if you're using drag select all the time, you've got to accurately place the mouse where you want it, then drag across, gripping the mouse all that time and then releasing. That's not good for possibility of RSI. So let's have a look at some tools that will help with that. We do a lot of, as editors, we do a lot of moving words around, and we've certainly had for a long time had a macro where you can switch two words around, swap words, and as you can see down at the bottom of the screen you've got an indication of what the macro is I've just run, so we can swap two words around like that. And then if we want three words, that's another existing macro, so if I want to change that round to chips and fish instead of fish and chips, then I can do that. Now there are different ways that we might want to do selecting, and when with the problem here with this space at the end of a sentence, what I did was to write a select word macro. So the first time I run it, it just selects the word, and the second time it selects the space, so that's ready to move, and then the space is going to be correct. So that's quite a useful one. An editor I was working with said that it would be helpful to be able to move individual words left or right, and a number of spaces. So I wrote move selection move left and selection move right. So if you click in a word and we do selection move left, it moves along, and then it moves back again if you go selection move right. And with a bit of luck it should have taken account of the comma as well, and then only moved the word. Another idea that I had then, building on the idea of selecting a word, you have to do it a number of times to get to the next word. So I thought, well, why don't we have one that extends the selection to the nearest word, so and not dealing with the punctuation. So if I start with there and use selection grow left, it just selects the word itself, and then it takes the next word and the next word. So each time it's taking a new word and not the punctuation. And of course the equivalent then is to extend the selection right. So we've got that pair of macros. Okay, now the other useful macro, relatively recent, is that if you want to select, say I want to select that sentence and do something with it, then I can approximately select it by clicking in the first word somewhere, which is a nice relaxed click, and then hold the shift key down and then a click somewhere in the last word, and then I can use the round off selection round off to increase the selection to the beginning of the first word and the end of the last word. And in fact a number of my macros do that sort of thing. Some of them, if you just click in a word, depending on what the macro is, it will assume that you want to do something with that word or that sentence or that paragraph, depending on what the macro is. So GoogleFetch, for example, I just click in the word, run GoogleFetch, and it looks up that individual word. Also with GoogleFetch, if I do the shift click, the approximate click there, and run GoogleFetch, then it will extend the selection to whole words and will give me what I'm looking for there. Okay, so as I say, with different macros it's done differently. Now suppose, for example, I decided I wanted to translate this. I could use my Google Translate macro, so I try running that, and unfortunately it didn't do the round off. It took literally that which was selected and sent that off to Google Translate. So if this is something you need to do, then it would be useful to be able to do a round off, select it, then do a round off, and then send it to so rather than running two macros, what you can do is you can add to my macro. So if we have a look at the macro code, Google Translate there, what we can do is to take this bit of code here, call selection roundoff. In other words, what that means is run the macro called selection roundoff. So if I copy that and I paste that into the macro at the top here, then that will do the round off first, and then it will go into the main part of the macro, which will send the selected text off to the whole thing. So we can try that now. So if I do an approximate select there and run Google Translate this time, then it actually does the round off and you get the whole thing translated. So there we go. I finally, not to do with selection particularly, but I'm a self-confessed mapaholic. I absolutely love maps, and so I've written GoogleMapFetch. And what I do with this is you can do something like Harwich/Hull or whatever between two places, and then run GoogleMapFetch, and it will translate that up to Google Maps, and it will give you the Harwich to Hull journey. What it also does is I use an abbreviation H for home, and actually I do W for work as well. So I could tell it to start from home, go to Harwich, go to Hull, and then go to work. A bit silly, but anyway, let's try it. Okay, so it's done that round trip, and it's going to take 9 hours 25 minutes. So it's got the postcode NR8 as the starting, and this postcode as a finish. So obviously you don't want to go to my home or my work, so you have to put your own code, postcode or zip code. I'm guessing that it'll work okay in different countries with your own kind of zip codes, and put those into the Google Maps at the beginning. So those two lines there, so in those two lines you put in your own postcodes or zip codes, and you can actually, that's the site address it calls. Somebody was in Egypt wanted this, so if you put that URL in, then it goes to the Egyptian Google website to do the map fetch or whatever. I'll get rid of those because I don't want to do that normally. Okay, well, that's it for now. If you've got any other ideas of things you'd like me to turn into a macro, or got any problems, then do get in touch. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.